What do you get when you cross a frog with a sheep?
What do you get when you cross a frog with a sheep?
A woolly jumper.
Welcome to That's the Story Classroom Show. Let's make learning fun.
I wanna hear the one about the big old plum tree. I wanna hear the one about the giggly bumblebee. I wanna hear the one about the juggly jumping flea. That's the story that I wanna hear. That's the story, that's the story, that's the story that I wanna hear. That's the story, that's the story, that's the story that I wanna hear.
Hello there, I'm Ronnie, and welcome to the classroom edition of That's the Story. Today, we've got a story about a kite, a chappie who has a little bit of an accident on his bicycle. We play the game When Am I? We've got a prize for that game. We've got a garden party, a fisherman, a woolly jumper. We've got a story about two cats, a rat and a cat. But first of all, let's kick it off with a story about a kite.
Boy's kite flew high in the air. From up here, thought the kite, I can see everything. I can see the river where Boy fetches pondweed for his frogs. I can see Boy's cat stalking next door's rabbit. I can see Boy's school with the rows and rows of classrooms and the lines and squares painted on the tarmac outside. From up here I can see Boy's auntie putting out the rubbish in her dressing gown and slippers. Oh, there's the rubbish truck coming down the road. Just in time, Mrs. H. I can see Old Man Grumpy crossing the road to the postbox, grumbling to himself as he does so. And I can see the marae where Boy has to take off his shoes. The carving on top of the wharenui, the tickle, looks down onto the marae, keeping an eye on the goings-on. From up here, the world looks flat. A patchwork of houses, gardens, roads, fields, like someone has stuck down a lot of giant stamps. It gets colder as I get higher. Ooh, bring me down, Boy, called the kite. Boy wasn't listening. He was too busy watching his brother spinning his car in big donut shapes in the paddock, listening to the straining engine and smelling the mixture of petrol and grass. The car drove off to its speed, narrowly missing Boy and leaving a trail of fumes. Bring me down, Boy, called the kite again, this time tugging on the string. Boy was jerked into action. At last, thought the kite, I was beginning to lose feeling in my strings, it's so cold. But as Boy reeled in his kite, a gust of wind snatched the kite sideways and out of Boy's hands. It blew past the river where Boy fetches pondweed, over Boy's cat, which had given up stalking next door's rabbit, floated over the rows of classrooms and the painted tarmac of Boy's school, past the rubbish truck, fast filling up, and the postbox, just being emptied, towards the marae where Boy has to take off his shoes. Whoa! Help! called the kite, but the rushing wind drowned out its cries. Over the marae, the wind dropped, and the kite plummeted towards the ground. Some guys who were laying a hangi out the back of the kitchen watched the kite as it fell, wondering what this strange bird was. The kite dived towards the wharenui, hoping that its fall would be broken by the roof. Closer and closer it got, until the spinning string wrapped around the tickle, and the kite came to rest right next to it. "Kia ora," said the kite. "Sorry to drop in on you like this." There it stopped, and there it stayed, looking like some sort of ancient decoration. Boy visited his kite often, and one of the kaumatua even offered to climb up and fetch it down. But he quite liked it up there with the tickle. He thought it looked quite important. Boy's kite liked it up there too, and though it never felt quite as important as the tickle, they became firm friends, both of them enjoying the warm sun and keeping an eye on the goings-on around and about the marae.
Now, how would you like me to do a bit of a shout out to your classroom? All you have to do is head for our website, that'sthestory.co.nz, and click on Contact Us. You can send me a little message there and I'll do a shout out to everyone in your classroom. Now, here's a rather disastrous story.
That's the story, just the way we like it.
Johnson had a bike. Quite a cool bike. It had suspension on the front forks and under the seat. It was classed as a downhill mountain bike and could take some mighty thwacks, thumps, cracks and ka-chunks. And did Johnson give that bike some mighty thwacks, thumps, cracks and ka-chunks? His brand new bright and shiny bike was bought for his birthday, and he had spent all weekend riding through rivers, bouncing through the bush, flying through the fire breaks and bunny hopping over tree roots and rocks. He had come to the top of a particularly horrendous looking, well, cliff really, and Johnson thought, "Cripes, I can ride that." He survived the ordeal, but his bike was in bits at the bottom of the cliff. Well, that was the end of that. Johnson had been given a bit of pocket money by Grandad, quite a hefty chunk of it actually. He hadn't seen Grandad for a while and, well, Grandad was a generous kind of codger and always slipped a couple of notes in Johnson's hand when he paid a visit. Johnson had bought a skateboard with the cash, and what a skateboard it had been. He thought he could jump up curbs, slide along seats, fly along at ridiculous speeds, flip the board and spin it in midair, then land on the handrail of a staircase and slide the entire length, then flip off the end and land with a thwump on the concrete. He thought he could do this with almost expert precision. I say almost because almost was about as precise as Johnson could get. In reality, he did actually fly along at a particularly ridiculous speed and did attempt to flip the skateboard into a death-defying spin and land effortlessly onto a staircase's handrail. But try was as close as he got. He landed on his bum. His skateboard smashed into 4.5 million pieces. And that was the end of that. He had a kite once. It got caught in a tree, and that was the end of that. He had a trolley once, quite a fast one. He drove it over a cliff and smashed it into an unrecognisable pile of rubble, and that was the end of that. Johnson had a guitar, but tried playing it with his teeth, like some super-duper uber rock legend guitar hero. But got the strings caught in his teeth, snapped each and every string on that guitar, and that was the end of that. Johnson tried a trampoline, but pretty much as soon as he looked at it, that was the end of that. Johnson was good at breaking things, smashing things, crashing, bashing and kuthwunking things, but it never stopped him giving stuff a go. Last I heard, Johnson was given a tour of the cockpit of a 737 jumbo jet on his way to a family holiday in Noosa, and that was the end of that.
Let's get noisy.
Now, when am I? It's a simple game. I give you some clues, and from those clues, you try and guess which year I am talking about. Take some notes. Use Google if you want. Now, I've got a couple of prizes for this competition. You can win one of these two books by Dr. Janice Belgrave, either Fledgling's First Flight or Wise Old Whiskey. The illustrations are by Ella Gordon, and she's done a marvellous job. They look really good. So, enter. First correct answer wins that classroom a copy of that book. So, listen very carefully. Here are those clues.
When in history am I?
On January the 6th of this year, King Harold I of England is crowned. On April the 24th, Halley's Comet sparks English monk to predict country will be destroyed. And on December the 25th, William the Conqueror is crowned King of England at Westminster Abbey. Henry IV was the Holy Roman Emperor.
When in history am I?
So, if you reckon you know when I am, send me your answer. Go to our website, that'sthestory.co.nz. Click on Contact Us and send me your answer from there. The classroom with the first correct answer in wins a copy of one of those books. So send me your answer. Now, let's have a bit of a garden party, shall we?
Warning, a really great story is on its way.
Tea for you? Asked Bryony as she poured the watery black liquid into the decorated cup. And how about a scone? She asked as she pushed the plate of food towards Mr. Beesknees. Lovely day, innit? Said Mr. Beesknees, twiddling his moustache and sitting back in his chair, his eyes wandering around the rather attractive garden. Tea for you too? Bryony nodded in Gertrude's general direction and passed over another of the beautiful cups, full to the brim with hot, steaming liquid. And how about a slice of this gorgeous lemon tart? I whipped it up only this morning, said Bryony, proudly offering the floral platter towards Gertrude. Gertrude took a slice of tart and placed it on her saucer. She too stretched, relaxed and sat back in her chair. Isn't this just delightful? Sighed Gertrude, sipping on her tea and also admiring the view. The garden was just divine. The lawn was freshly mown and the flowers nodded on their stems, bobbing to and fro in the gentle breeze. Bryony poured a drink for herself, carefully adding the milk and sugar, chatting politely to her guests about the weather, the garden, and the general state of the world. The garden party was all going rather well, and the guests were very happy. Bryony smiled as she nodded in agreement to Mr. Bee's Knees' comments. Meanwhile, back at the house, Mrs. Crocus looked out of the kitchen window. There was her daughter, Bianca, sitting in the middle of the unkempt lawn, her 2 toy teddies perched on cardboard boxes either side, pouring water from the plastic tea set that she'd got for Christmas. Mrs. Crocus smiled and wondered what on earth could be going through Bianca's mind as she watched her daughter chatting absently to her toys.
Now, if you've got an artwork that you've made in the classroom and you'd like to share it with the whole wide world, then by all means take a photo of it and send it to me. You can send it via our website, that'sthestory.co.nz. Click on Contact Us and you can send it from there. Now, let's meet Alex the fisherman.
Alex, our next door neighbour, is a fisherman who prunes pine trees when the fish aren't biting. He tells good stories, but this one I find hard to believe. One day, he said he was sitting on his deck, enjoying the ocean view, drinking a cup of herbal tea, when lurching along the dusty road crawled a backfiring, rusting out bomb of a car. The bonnet was orange, the boot was green, and none of the car doors matched. The roof had a hole where the sun shone through, and when it rained, it would leak. A coat hanger was stuck where the aerial once was. You know, that's a common trick if your aerial gets snapped off. Works like a charm and way cheaper. So as well as the grunting and spluttering of the engine, there was a crackle of ratty-tat music. Sounded a lot like reggae. He'd seen this car around the village before, 100 times. But what Alex saw in the passenger seat nearly blew his mind. It was a woolly sheep, wearing sunglasses. Of course, he had his safety belt on, and buckled up in the back were 2 miniature ponies. They seemed quite happy to be riding in the back of a car with a sheep. The horn didn't honk. It went tweet, tweet. Alex couldn't see the driver. The sheep was far too woolly, but he knew who was driving. He didn't need to see him. It was Hendrix, the vegetarian. He never ate any meat. All his friends were animals. If they ever needed a ride, he'd drive along to their paddock, pick them up, then roam with them far and wide. The cars were sometimes a problem. The safety belt didn't always fit. And as for the possums and hedgehogs, well, let's just say things got a little prickly when it came to deciding who would sit in the front. Yeah, Alex tells good stories, but I think he should stick to fishing, pruning trees, and drinking herbal tea on his deck, enjoying the ocean view.
Hello, I'm Ronnie. Welcome to the classroom edition of That's the Story. I have a very favourite big woolly jumper. Wear it all the time.
I've got a big woolly jumper that keeps me warm. It's a pretty old jumper and it's pretty well worn. I wear it every day, it's like my uniform. It even keeps me cozy in a big hailstorm. It's the size of a tent and the colour of corn. And on one elbow it's a little torn. It's made from sheep that have been shorn, and I've had it since the day that I was born. I got a big woolly jumper that keeps me warm. It's a pretty old jumper and it's pretty well worn.
Don't forget, if you would like me to do a shout out to your classroom, all you have to do is pop along to our website, that'sthestory.co.nz, and click on Contact Us. Send me a message from there and I'll do a shout out to your classroom. Now let's meet a bat, 2 rats, and a cat.
It was a scorchingly hot day. A day so hot the tar on the roads in town had melted, and Mr. Buxton's van had come back from a trip trailing bits and pieces of sticky gravel all over his driveway. A day so swelteringly hot that even the water in the deep dark pool where Ernie the enormous eel lived had started to get uncomfortably hot, so that Ernie had to swim in the water closest to the bank, in the shade of the biggest tree. In fact, it was a day so hot the flying pigs, who only rarely flew anyway, decided it was simply too sizzling and boiling to fly, because there was every chance they'd get mildly cooked in mid-air. Yep, it was hot just about everywhere, except in a rather cool, earthy hole in the bank of the little river. Grass over the entrance to the hole kept it cool, and then a bit of tunnel kept the air even cooler, and at the end of that tunnel the hole finished in a rather cosy little room. A room that would, of course, have been very dark, except for the single candle that was sputtering away rather happily in one corner. To be honest, the room was a mess, a major mess. Bits of half-eaten carrot, scraps of paper, a well-gnawed stale loaf of bread, they were all lying over the dirt floor. But the two occupants didn't seem to care. Grey Rat and Black Rat were by nature extremely messy. They didn't give two hoots or even a bark and a quack that the hole was dirty. As long as it was cool, they were happy.
So cool,
hissed Grey Rat.
Oh yes, not hot at all,
replied Black Rat. They'd chanced upon the hole only yesterday, and it looked just the place to get away from the sweltering temperatures. In fact, while everyone above ground was tossing and turning, unable to sleep in the heat, the two rats were feeling so cosy in their hole that they decided to have a nap.
40 winks,
hissed Grey Rat.
Sweet dreams,
replied Black Rat. But just then, a swish-swish, squeak-squeak noise buzzed right across the room.
Oh, what was that?
Spluttered Black Rat. Swish-swish-swish, squeak-squeak-squeak went the noise again.
Oh, something's flying around in here,
hissed Grey Rat.
What is it?
And at that very moment, with another swish-squeak, the flying something whacked into the candle and knocked it over and out. The room was completely dark.
What?
Yelled the rats together. They didn't mind wandering around in the dark of night, when there were actually stars and a moon to give a bit of light, but in the deep depths of a hole, well, they were a little afraid.
I'm a bit scared,
confessed Grey Rat.
Me too,
hissed Black Rat.
What was making that horrible noise? And what knocked over our candle?
Continued Grey Rat. It was me, actually, said a voice right by Grey Rat's ear. In fact, Grey Rat got such a shock he jumped right up into the air till his head whacked into the dirt ceiling. Then he dropped straight back down again, covered in earth.
It's me,
yelled Black Rat, who couldn't see a thing, let alone whoever had spoken. Me, said the voice. Bat!
Bat?
hissed Black Rat.
Bat what? Oh, what bat? Don't you have another name?
Like John Bat or Squeaky Bat or something, said the voice. I see. Well, really I'm happy with Bat, but if you like you can call me Bat Bat.
Bat, Batty, Bob Bat, I don't care what you call yourself,
shrieked Black Rat.
What are you doing here? Why did you knock our candle out?
It's pretty hot outside, said Bat Bat.
That's why we're in here, said Black Rat.
So when I saw the hole in the bank, I thought, bet that's cool. So I flew down here, but you had the bright thing, like a nasty little sun. It blinded me. I couldn't see a thing. I flew all about.
You knocked it over. I see, said Grey Rat. Tell you what, Bat, I'll bet you can see better than us in the dark. If you find the candle for us, you can stay down here in the cool.
Sounds a good idea to me, said Bat Bat. I'm just looking around. There's the candle.
Excellent,
hissed Black Rat.
Right next to that big furry thing,
finished Bat Bat.
Big furry thing?
asked Grey Rat. I think he means me, purred a familiar voice.
Yeah! Harry the cat!
Wailed the two rats together.
I think your plan has one little flaw, though,
continued Harry.
Run!
Shrieked the rats, and, pushing a confused Bat in front of them, they squeaked, scratched, and skittered their way down the tunnel, out of the hole, and down the riverbank, not even noticing for a moment the scorching sun.
Oh, said Harry in the silence, they seem to have gone. I was going to say, what they still needed was a match to light that candle. And I've got one. And if they'd let me stay in this nice, cool hole, they could have had it. Oh, well.
And so Harry, with the hole all to himself, straightened up the candle, lit it, tidied up the mess, and cleaned things up generally. And as he worked, he wondered to himself,
wonder why those silly rats ran away. What did they think I was going to do? Eat them? Don't they have any manners? Don't they know you never eat in your bed? Meow. And with that, he curled up and went to sleep.
That's my lot for another week. I will catch you again next week. Have a lovely week. Have a great weekend. Don't forget to enter our When Am I competition. Remember, I have a couple of prizes for that competition. First classroom with the correct answer in wins a copy of either Wise Old Whiskey or Fledgling's First Flight by Dr. Janice Belgrave, illustrated by Ella Gordon, and my goodness, those pictures are amazing. So get your entries in. Ka kite anō.
I wanna hear the one about the big old plum tree. I wanna hear